he came out with a chart that alleges that the former president was receiving drug payments at certain schedules, of which you heard the soundbite of former President Duterte very upset and actually is considering filing, I'm presuming, libel slander charges against Trillanes. I want to ask you, what kind of evidence is necessary for this? Because here's former President Duterte, his narrative is galit nga siya sa droga eh. 'Di ba? Galit ako sa droga, kaya nga yan ang drug war ko. Tapos, eto dating senador who's going to say, teka, hindi ka galit sa droga, tumatanggap ka, drug protector ka. So the irony is there, but the question is, what kind of evidence does one need for Trillanes' allegations to hold in court?
There's a legal maxim that's so common to everybody. He who alleges must prove. That's why mere allegations cannot hold water here. You have to be able to back it up with other evidence. So good luck. If he has the evidence to prove what he's saying, then so be it. Let him file the cases. But it has to be a well built up case. Again, as I would say, we will not file a case because they will need the Department of Justice to file a case, but we will have to undergo a case build up. And the other law enforcement agencies will have to work with the prosecutors to be able to build up a proper case. If there's no case build up, if we do not believe in the modicum of evidence we have gathered, then we will not file a case. We will wait for the proper time until we are confident of the cases that we have built up to stand the scrutiny.
Okay, so Secretary, that means that your special body, the task force, will not be including former Senator Trillanes' allegations in its investigation. Hindi kasama po ba yun o hindi?
Hindi pa ho kasama yan. Kinakailangan namin ng mas magandang ebidensya. Ang nangyari lang kasi dyan, ito po, when he filed the case before the Department of Justice, and it ended up with the Prosecutor General, the former Prosecutor General, he immediately forwarded the case to the Ombudsman. We could have looked at it first before forwarding the case to the Ombudsman. We could have done a case build-up. But that's water under the bridge. It's now with the Ombudsman. That's why, even if maybe Sandy Trillanes might want to refile the case before the DOJ, but he will still have to give us the amount of evidence we need to be able to file a case.
Oo. I'm curious, what about Senator Bato de la Rosa? Senator Bongo. Senator Bongo's name was mentioned once and he confronted, I think, one of the police officers in the Senate. But Senator Bato de la Rosa was PNP chief then,
Yes.
and the architect of Oplan Tukang. Is he included in the investigation?
Of course, his role will have to be scrutinized. That's why the Republic Act 1951 is so flexible when it comes to assigning responsibility to people. If you study it closely, it does not. It really makes people more responsible. It's the principle of command responsibility becomes very, very important in this law. And if you read the lines of the law, you will know that that is really what the law wanted to achieve, or what the legislators wanted to achieve when they passed the law, when they drafted the law and had it signed by the president.
Okay, so as Justice Secretary, I wanted to ask your interpretation because this is quite interesting. This is in the defense of Senator Bato de la Rosa. So it's been discussed in the Senate, the terms neutralize and negation. Diba? Naging controversial yun.
Yes.
But then the irony is in the 2014 revised PNP Manual of Anti-Illegal Drug Operations, this was the time of DILG Secretary Mar Rojas. Nakasali na po ang terms neutralize and negation. Nandun na po yun in 2014.
Yes.
Taken from the US police rules as well. So what is your interpretation as Justice Secretary of neutralize and negation? According to Attorney Shel Diokno, that violates human rights. Sagot ni Senator De La Rosa, it's not in the law, but it's in the revised manual. Nandun siya. So what does that mean to you?
It's a semantic dilemma.
Ano
It's a
po?
semantic dilemma. But if you look at the meaning of that term neutralize, you have to look at the culture of the PNP, the culture of the Philippine National Police on what they really mean by that and how they understand it. And the common understanding really is neutralizing can also mean killing. That is not excluded from the options given to the policeman. That's why neutralize can either be to kill or to catch or to arrest.
Oo.
So really a cultural thing. It's really a situation to situation dilemma that we have. Neutralization can mean arresting or it can mean depending on the circumstance.
Oo, tama kayo. Kasi neutralization can mean also arresting.
Yes.
Or di ba, pwede mo ring
Yes.
to stop the expansion. Kaya naka-neutralize.
Yes. To make ineffective whatever means of aggression that they may have or aggressive behavior. So that's really, it can really be arresting and stopping on their tracks the activities of criminal organizations.
Oo. So paano po yun? Senator Bato de la Rosa has said in interviews, there is the circular that they've released during his time that he signed for neutralization and negation. But the thing is, he said, nandun yun sa 2014 revised PNP manual.
Karen, we're getting lost in the semantics of it.
Yeah.
I think the Republic Act 1951 will answer more questions than arguing about the semantics of it. It's very clear that command responsibility is part and parcel of what the framers wanted to do when they drafted that law. Command responsibility is an important part.
So it's the spirit of the law.
Yes.
All right. Now, the human rights group Karapatan is urging the Department of Justice to fully cooperate with the ICC. So my last one on the ICC is, why not? Anyway, you are investigating, they are investigating. Why not just fully cooperate?
Well, we will have to start thawing or breaking bread again with them. We will have to start talking to them again. We have not. They have not reached out to me, nor have I reached out to them. But we are reading each other from a distance. Sooner or later, we will have to deal with each other. And that will happen. That will happen. Because it's inevitable that we will have to talk to each other.
So if the ICC writes to the DOJ, does this mean you're saying on Head Start, you will entertain them? Because Harry Roque, I believe that ICC wrote to Harry Roque and I think he didn't respond. Or it was Senator Bato de la Rosa. They wrote to him and he said, I did not respond. So
Yes.
does this mean the DOJ will respond to the ICC?
There's a probability we will. There's a big probability we will.
Okay, all right. Let's now talk about former Police Colonel Roying Garma. I want to take the other side of this. Here's a woman who testifies in the Quadcom, right? And it's supposed to be in aid of legislation.
Yes.
Diba? Eto ka nananahimik, you want to cooperate in aid of legislation. So you start to say that there was a meeting and that the Davao model is to be implemented nationwide. You go to the US, then you get arrested. So imagine if you're an ordinary citizen. Here I am, I help the government, I testify in aid of legislation, ngayon ako pa inaresto. Wala naman po siyang kaso, Secretary. Yun lang ang tanong ko.
Ano yan eh? Well, if you want to, a good way to interpret what happened. Remember that she left the country immediately after she was released from custody.
Okay.
And they were really having serious talks with the legislature regarding her criminal liability. But there are things that make separation of powers very important. And that is, we in the DOJ will have to read between the lines and see where criminal liability lies. And apparently, she may have something to say that will help the Quadcom regarding the reward system. But more important is the testimony of Santi Mendoza, Colonel Santi Mendoza, about her role in the killing of General Barayuga, who was the corporate secretary of the
CSO.
CSO. So we cannot set aside these responsibilities, these criminal responsibilities, just because she testified before the Quadcom. We are not part of that. We are not part of that setup, and it is our duty to investigate these cases, especially as they come. So, par for the course. If she is liable, then we will hold her liable. We will not bow down to any pressure with regards to what has to be done by a decent, God-fearing country, and we punish perpetrators of crimes.
But Secretary, I'm curious. So she was detained in Congress. I'm just asking about our personal liberties. This is not pro-Garma. I'm just really curious. She was detained. Nung pinakawalan siya, doesn't a person have a right to travel wherever they wish? Because wala naman po siyang kaso.
Karen, I'm not contesting that.
Okay.
But the fact that she immediately left is something that is something we have to ponder about. Did she want to abscond, or did she want to just leave and come back? Because absconding may have been part of the plan. We don't know. We haven't talked to her yet. The Philippine embassy in the US has not really communicated to us the developments in the case. But we will be asking questions to the Philippine embassy, to Ambassador Romualdez later on. Because it's important that we know where she stands. And definitely, I know that she could not enter the US, but she insisted. I do not understand that.
Okay. Ipaliwanag nyo nga yun, Secretary. That was confusing, actually, even to viewers on TV Patrol, because she left the country. So by leaving the country, you go to the US, dapat lumabas na may US visa ka, right?
Yes, yes.
Oh, paano yun? What happened along the way?
She was physically in possession for US visa.
Oo.
But remember, she was already stopped on her tracks when she was in Japan flying to America. And the Japanese immigration authorities did not allow her to board a plane to the US. Meaning to say, there was already a notice of cancellation of her visa. But because she had a physical visa, probably she was advised by counsel to just fly in and face immigration. Anyway, you have a validly issued visa before. So it's really her choice. But definitely, if I were in her place, I wouldn't have flown out. I know that the visa was cancelled already.
So wait, Secretary,
Yes.
kumbaga, she had the visa, kinancel visa niya, but of course she had the physical possession.
Yes.
And you're saying sumugal siya.
Sumugal siya. Yes.
Okay.
Her
All
way.
right.
And she got caught.
Okay, I have breaking news right now, so I want to ask your reaction on this breaking news. Mary Jane Veloso, the Filipino OFW, is coming home to the Philippines after being arrested for drug trafficking in Indonesia. So for our viewers, she was arrested in 2010 on drug trafficking charges. She was sentenced to death. It's been a long journey. Different presidents have already appealed to Indonesia. This is like a decade of diplomacy and consultations. So, pauwi na po siya. Secretary Remulla, your immediate response to this?
Well, I think that President Marcos succeeded in convincing the Indonesians that we will not give up our plea for Mary Jane Veloso to be given back to us. If she has to serve a life term, if that's part of the conditions, so she will serve a life term. But we are against the notion of the death penalty. It is something that we oppose. It's something that is always on the table. But it's something that they always ask us, even in Europe, if we are restoring the death penalty. In fact, even if we just discuss the death penalty now about the possibility of it being reinstated in our country, the Europeans will raise a howl just for us to discuss it. So it's something that we have to consider also. But the fact that Indonesia allowed us to take possession of her person already, legal jurisdiction over her person, is a good sign that we are really working very well with the Indonesians. And of course, it's something also that they need. They need a clean start for the new leaders of Indonesia.
And what is the process? I'm curious, what's the standard operating procedure? So let's say she comes home. So I'm presuming the DFAs, will the DOJ pick her up or the DFA? How does that work?
We will have to discuss with the DFA, because the moment that she enters our system, she's already part of the criminal justice system. So we will have to be responsible for it. And the NBI will be the one we will charge the NBI with the duty to pick her up at the airport. We will of course have discussions with the DFA prior to this.
Oo, okay, all right. Pero nangangahulugan ba, isang tanong lang na, didiretso siya doon talaga sa Women's Correctional, doon po?
Malamang doon ang diretso niya. Malamang.
Oo.
At ang alam ko kasi marami siyang sakit sa kanyang katawan, marami siyang iniinda na masamang pakiramdam. At isa to sa ating titingnan kung paano natin siya matutulungan.
Okay, may hinihingi po ba ang Indonesia na kapalit naman na preso? Meron po ba?
Hindi pa ho nakikipag-usap sa DOJ ang Indonesia. Nasa level po ng DFA ang discussions. Although we received a lot of information through informal channels. Kasi ganun talaga ang diplomacy. DFA muna ang kausap nila. Pero meron kami mga counterpart doon na nagpapadala sa amin ng balita noong araw pa. Kaya alam na namin ito mangyayari.
Okay. All right. Now, my last topic now, I don't want to keep you too long. I know you have work, but I want to ask you about Pogo. So let's start with former presidential spokesperson, Harry Roque. What is the status now? He's still a no-show and he hasn't yet submitted his counter affidavit.
Yes. He has not submitted his counter affidavit. He is a no-show because he may probably have fled the country. We don't know where he is. It's the first time that he has become untraceable to us. So that being said, he will be subject of course a bigger manhunt now. Determine whether if he has left the country or where he is right now. But he will be charged accordingly because when the case was filed, he was still here, and he has noticed that he is being charged. Gone are the days when you would say that you never received it and you didn't know, because this is a smaller wild world that we're in. And he is aware that he's being charged and he is running away from the responsibility.
Oh, but I'm curious. Right now, there is no warrant of arrest against Harry Roque, just so it's clear.
Yes.
There's not.
Yes.
Walang warrant. Okay.
Yeah.
But are you allowed to check his home? I mean, to ask his wife where he is. Are you allowed at this point to do that?
We're still trying to go through the regular process. We don't look at it as a matter of great urgency right now. But he will have to face the music, so to speak. He will have to face responsibility for whatever charges there are for him to answer. Because they always, that's a problem with many of the people associated with President Duterte. They always tell us to file the case. But when the cases are filed, they do not want to appear. It happened so many times already. And it happened, let's say, to Kibuloy. He was the one daring us to file a case. When we filed the case, he disappeared and didn't want to face up to the responsibility. I hope that they face the legal system the way that they should. In fact, we certainly have a feeling of insecurity about the legal infrastructure that President Duterte left. And we have to stand up as a country and be united to be able to do the right thing. Because in this country, there's a lot of influence through utang na loob, and that is something that we have to watch out for.
Okay. Well, I mean, just going back to that kind of history is you have powerful people who believe it's political persecution. You have a former senator that was charged and actually hid for, I believe, a year or 2 years. It was really Laila de Lima at this point that just faced the justice system.
Yes. But what is good for the goose should be good for the gander. They do not want to face the music, so to speak. We want let's all be brave about it and let's put a brave face forward when it comes to this. And that's one thing that I urge the other side to do. Let's not ask the legal system to the people to file a case and then not face up to the cases. You issue the challenge for us to file the cases, and if we do, if the cases are there, can you be man enough to face the cases? That is always the question. And some people have not, who are associated with them, have not really faced up to the question, like Mr. Teves.
I wanted to ask you that. So what's going to happen with Arnie Teves?
Well, we're just waiting for the decision of Timor-Leste, the Court of Appeals of Timor-Leste. They have no Supreme Court. So we're just waiting for the decision to happen. And we were able to make a good case out of it. And I think that Timor-Leste has no business really keeping him. At least it will also I will not say it will, but it may affect their wishing to join the ASEAN if it really goes down to the nitty-gritty.
All right. Well, I think on that note, this one I want to ask just very quickly. Babalikan ko si Garma. So she's now detained for violating the Magnitsky Act.
Actually, I have no. That has not been validated or verified yet.
Yes. Okay.
Behind everything, and we will embassy to give a report about the status of Garma. As soon as we hang up, I will give a text.
So you're not sure about that kasi biglang money laundering, human rights violations. That's what she's being detained for. You're not sure about
Because
that.
under the Magnitsky Act, people who commit human rights violations are not entitled to enter the U.S. and their assets may be forfeited by the U.S. government. So it's something that we will have to determine. But remember, we have a mutual legal assistance treaty with America.
Okay.
So we are confident that this is the one matter that we can resolve on a face-to-face on the table. It's something that we are not afraid of. It's something that we know that we will have to deal with when it comes to liabilities. Like the same case that Mr. Kibuloy has. He has cases pending in the U.S. and we will have to deal with that question also. If they request his extradition, then we will have to deal with that. We have many things to be discussed on the table.
If the U.S., the last question, asks that Kibuloy be extradited, would you recommend that he be extradited?
It's already a duty on our part to look at this request seriously, and we will weigh the consequences of each action. We will cross the bridge when we get there.
All right. On that note, I want to thank you for joining me today, Justice Secretary Jesus Crispin Remulla. Thank you, sir.